Okay, go.
All right, we're going to work on the sounds of German. You may think that you won't be able to tackle the sounds of German that are different from English. You may think that you need to have a knack or an ear for language, and if you don't, you're never going to get the accent. But for each of these sounds, there's a trick, it's a learnable skill that you can tackle to make the sound natural and correct. We can start already with A, E, I, O, and U. And in German, A, E, I, O, and U, they're A, E, I, O, U, which isn't that different. And the main difference with every single one of these vowel sounds is this. In English, we do what's called a glide. When somebody doesn't do a glide, it sounds like a foreign accent. Letter I, you start with something like an A, and you end up with an E when you think about it. Say I, and you end up with doing a glide. You do go from one sound to the other. You start one direction, you finish in the other. The same way with O. You start with something like an O, and you end with an U at the end. O, O. When you sing the song, "Oh, Oklahoma," you have to decide whether you're going to say, "Oh, Oklahoma," or "Oh, Oklahoma," and you already can tell which one's the right one. In German, you don't. There's no place where the line changes direction. It's a flat line. And so, the best way you can think about it is being in a choir or singing. You're singing A, E, A. You're singing A, E, I, O, U. You start these sounds the exact same way you finish them. A, E, I, O, U. Alright. These two dots are called umlauts, and a lot of English speakers are kind of spooked by them because they're sounds that don't exist in English, and they're letters that don't exist in English. But there's neat tricks to each of these that gets you saying them correctly within a minute or two. With O umlaut, which comes out as you're trying to say A. You really want to say A, that's all it is, but you can't say A because your lips are stuck rounded. Think you're a cartoon character, you just drank something really sour, and your lips are stuck round, and you can't unroll them, so you can't say A. You're trying to say A, but you can't say A because your lips are stuck round, so when you try to say A, you end up saying I want to say A, can't say because it's That is your O umlaut, The other one is with a U. It's the same thing. You're trying to say E as an E, a mouse. But you can't say E because your lips are stuck around again. And with your lips stuck around, you're trying to say E, but you end up saying So just as this turned to this turns into I can't say E. I'm going to say Those are our umlauts. Farther down, we've got our consonants. The L is the tip of the tongue, L. Just like Spanish or French, if you try to think of the old cartoon where Bugs Bunny was singing opera, he wasn't saying la 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 la. He was saying la 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 la. If you can just sing a little bit of mock opera to yourself and sing la 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 la, you will have your tip of the tongue L that makes you able to speak good German. La 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 la. Hello, hello, not hello, 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 and you got it. In German also the V is just pronounced like an F. The W is always pronounced like a V. And so as a result, when you drive a Volkswagen, you drive a Volkswagen. And in fact, to marry all three of these sounds together, draw our favorite logo here, the Volkswagen logo. And so the L in Volkswagen will be an I, the V will be an F, the W will be a V, and you'll have a Volkswagen. Volkswagen. Alright, the last two sounds are a little bit tricky. One of them is actually not that difficult, but it's got a bad reputation in English. English speakers who don't know anything about German say things like, well, the CH, you have to spit all over yourself, or you have to like cough up phlegm or something to speak German, which is nonsense. When you say ich, which is the word for I, ich bin hier, I am here, you don't say ich. If you said ich, Germans would wonder what you were talking about. The CH in ich is like when you caught yourself a huge fish yesterday. Huge fish. This is an H, it's not a H, but you don't say it was huge or huge, right? You say it was huge, you catch a little bit of friction there. And that same H in huge is the very sound you have in ich, just at the end of the word, not the beginning. Huge, ich. That's all it is to it. When you come at it from a different direction, ach instead of ich, then it's just a KH sound. It's a H, ach. ach. It's like an H sound, ah, with a bit of friction, ach. Simple as that, actually. The R is troublesome. The R is difficult to get your tongue around. There are two R's that are acceptable in German. The most prominent R is the French R, and that basically, when it gets right down to it, is like gargling. If you have a drink of water, you can make the R sound, but it'll be kind of gloppy if you try to speak that way. You go like that. Roy Orbison, I think, in Pretty Woman did like that. If you can do that, then you can do a German R perfectly. The other possibility is a Spanish R. Imagine you're 8 years old and playing out in the backwoods and playing soldier with your friends, and you go like that. If you went or went like a cat, you got the other R down. So the color red is either rot with a gargled R or rot with a Spanish R. Either of those is acceptable. The only thing you want to avoid is an American R, because in German just sounds a little bit off. And these are all the sounds of German that are different from English. And again, for each of them, a, e, I, o, u, sing a flat line, u, loop to round, la, f, v, h, ach, and r. And that's all the sounds that are different in German from English.